Hey, what's going on, folks? Captain Forest here, back with another power scaling video. Today I'm here to showcase the power of Akuma. If you guys enjoy my content, please consider subscribing and leaving a like, and perhaps sharing this video to your friends. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a brief backstory on Akuma so you guys can become a little bit more familiar of this character. Akuma, the demon who seeks to reach heaven, was a young boy who grew up with his brother Goken, who would go on to train the likes of Ryu and Ken. Akuma and Goken both trained under a man called Gotetsu, who was a practitioner of the Satsui no Hado. This martial art incorporated different forms of martial arts such as judo, kempo and karate. People who practiced this form of martial arts would go insane, but Gotetsu became one of the few people to find the balance between serenity and madness. As Akuma and Goken would continue their training, Akuma became more interested in the darker side of the martial art. But Goken did not like this version of the martial art, and chose to craft a martial art that was safer and not made for reckless violence and bloodlust. This led to Goken leaving Gotetsu's dojo, which of course caused Akuma and Goken to rift and split apart from each other. Akuma, however, remained with Gotetsu and underwent further training in the dark arts, relinquishing a large part of his humanity, giving up his compassion for power. After leaving everything with Gotetsu, he felt limited and went on to seek his own enlightenment. After becoming stronger, he would return back to the dojo and challenge his former teacher to the death, and would go on to defeat and murder Gotetsu with the raging demon, and he would take his prayer beads from his former teacher and place it on his neck, deeming himself as the true master of the art. Goken would eventually return to the dojo to visit Gotetsu, only to witness his master's death. Goken feeling nothing but pure disdain for his brother Akuma and cursing him after witnessing such a scene. Akuma would eventually find Goken, and actually they would both engage in a fight. Unfortunately, Akuma does lose this fight, but of course, with how the Satsui no Hado works, Akuma does ask Goken to kill him, but Goken refuses, and Akuma mocks Goken, calling him a coward for refusing to end Akuma's life. Akuma would go on to train even harder than last time, and give up even more of his self and more of his humanity, and in fact transcend it. He would go on to later fight Goken a second time, killing him with the raging demon, but Goken actually survived, as Akuma had no idea that Goken emptied his soul with the power of nothingness, which left him in a comatose state. Ken would go after Akuma after finding out that Akuma had attacked Goken, which of course didn't end very well for Ken, as he was simply no match. Akuma would go on to seek out stronger foes, and as he attempts to reach heaven, aka enlightenment. And that's pretty much it for the backstory. I'm going to go ahead and get right into the meat and potatoes. So for attack potency, depending on what scaling you use for Akuma, he can range from universal plus, multiversal plus, to even outerversal. Akuma himself was able to rip Jeddah apart. This same Jeddah created his own universal space-time continuum with his flesh and blood alone. That is the universal plus feat you could use for Akuma. For the multiversal plus to outer scaling, Akuma was trapped inside a void of emptiness which is beyond beyond mortals and demons, outside of space and time, and all planes of reality. He also journeyed through the land beyond the boundaries of reality itself in search of finding the answers he seeks. He breaks out of the empty void that he was trapped in by Gen and realizes that he had become one with the Satsui no Hado. This feat, depending on how you interpret it, can range from the low ends of Universal Plus, Multiversal Plus, or 5D, or even Outerversal itself, as he even states that he was going beyond the boundaries of reality itself. Akuma would then go on to journey and find stronger opponents through this, obviously going off the interpretation if you want to use this meta. He was going up against these demons inside this boundless realm. He was fighting these demons and these other creatures, and he'd go on to fight Gen while he was journeying beyond the boundaries of earthly reality, seeking answers itself. So that's pretty much it for the AP. I personally think Akuma would scale around Uni Plus to Multiversal Plus, but you could also argue Outer. There wouldn't be any problems with that too. That would be more of a high end. So let's continue. On to speed. I have Akuma Immeasurable Speed. Or if you want to use the Outerversal scaling that I have also addressed, you can argue Irrelevant Speed. But consistently, I have Akuma at Immeasurable Speed, as he himself was able to hurt Jeddah, who himself was able to move around outside of space and time. Akuma was also able to move in a void outside of space and time, as it was even stated in the comic that he was pretty much outside. He was trapped in a void that was outside of reality in space and time. So right there you have like Immeasurable Speed. So there's two feats right there for Akuma. So you could use those. You can use those feats too to get Akuma to Immeasurable. That's pretty much it for the speed meta. I'm going to go ahead and talk about abilities. Let's talk about the Satsui no Hado. The Satsui no Hado is the enlightenment that Akuma has been searching for. After spending time itself in the vast emptiness, Akuma achieves enlightenment and finally becomes truly one with the Satsui no Hado. The Satsui no Hado is conceptual. Even the official Street Fighter Facebook page states the story of Kage, that he is the literal embodiment of the Satsui no Hado, and this is even from the game itself. Even in the Street Fighter game, Akuma's goal, if you look at his Street Fighter V story in the Street Fighter V game, Akuma's goal is to reach heaven, which he refers to as enlightenment, and to basically go beyond heaven and beyond demon. So right here you've got easily higher scaling for Akuma, way beyond like freaking island and mountain level shit. Way beyond that. Shit is low ball. I don't use that meta. That meta is like very low ball and just very outdated. He even says to Kage that not even him, a mere soulless silhouette, can comprehend such an idea. So even Akuma mocks and even states to Kage himself, which is the literal embodiment of the Satsui no Hado, that even he himself, a mere silhouette, cannot even comprehend such a concept. So there you have. So there you are, some conceptual arguments there. And another thing I want to mention, the definition of embodiment is the embodiment of something gives concrete from to an abstract idea, or a concrete representation of an otherwise nebulous concept, or giving concrete form to an abstract concept. So right there, if we even look at the definition of embodiment, it refers to concepts and ideas. So that's where we get the conceptual arguments for the Satsui no Hado itself. Moving on, Akuma is one with the demonic power, of course, the Satsui no Hado, which is a dark form that is the opposite of the power of nothingness. He can destroy souls via the raging demon with soul destruction by using all of your sins against you, while the executed attack is a brutal onslaught of merciless fury. The basis of the attack is said to be linked to karmic forces drawn from the influence of the Satsui no Hado, channeling a infernal punishment in which the weight of sins and evil the victim has committed attacks the soul. And if you use the conceptual arguments as I previously mentioned, this would destroy the foe's soul on a conceptual level. Akuma himself even states he has great mastery over the Satsui no Hado, and that there is no greater master than himself. Akuma's chi attacks are spiritual and mental in nature. His own chi attacks, like his Go Hadoukens or his Go Shoryuken, has been shown to have soul-destroying properties, mind-destroying properties, and physical. As we all know, in lore, chi is present in every cell throughout our mind, body, and soul. I'll leave a link in the description. Shoutouts to Phoenix for the link. Akuma has demonstrated that he can also throw purple Go Hadoukens at his foes from mid-air and from the ground, which affects your mind, body, and soul. And he's also demonstrated fire manipulation. He can perform the Koretsuha, which is a giant explosion of ki, where he engulfs his fist in concentrated ki and punches the ground, erupting the ground with a burst of flames from as his opponents get caught in the blast. This attack would also affect you on all three layers. Sakuretsu, which is also a fire-based Hadouken, which would also affect you on these three layers, of course. So Akuma has shown some elemental manipulation, which is pretty cool. The Satsui no Hado also grants Akuma the use of the demon teleportation. The demon teleportation has shown to allow you to teleport not only, but to phase through objects and even spiritual attacks. It has been shown that Akuma was able to teleport and phase through a ki-based attack from Gotetsu during their fight. So he can phase through souls, make himself intangible on that level above non-corporal attacks, which is pretty impressive. And also physical and mental attacks, so he can phase through them both. Akuma has also shown battlefield removal. When using the Raging Demon, Akuma can also BFR souls and people to different dimensions, and also use this as a means of transport. Akuma has also demonstrated to hurt souls and also hurt shadows. If you look into the context of Kage being the literal embodiment of the Satsui no Hado, it shows that Akuma can also hurt concepts if you go off the argument of the Satsui no Hado being conceptual, as he's able to fight beings such as Kage, who Akuma states himself that Kage is nothing more but a soulless silhouette. Alright, that's pretty much it for all of those abilities. I'm going to go ahead and talk about resistances. So Akuma has resisted existence erasure / BFR. Akuma broke out of a void that he was trapped in by Gen, and voids by definition are everything including time, so it's usually timeless. And to survive in a void without being erased or turned into a void would give you resistance to void manipulation, and Akuma has demonstrated to travel 2 dimensions and just get out of situations where he's been placed in a different realm, and also breaking out of the void that he was trapped in by Gen. I'll also leave a link in the description about how voids work if you guys want some more details behind it, but that is a very impressive resistance feat nonetheless. Akuma also has mind resistance and resistance like corruption. The Satsui no Hado itself, it makes you go insane, and Akuma has shown to completely control it. and have great proficiency with it. He's actually a mastery of it himself. It's also been shown that Ryu has like resisted the attempts of the Satsui no Hado taking over his mind, body and soul. And Akuma himself can casually wield such great power from the Satsui no Hado without going mad or going insane, or letting the Satsui no Hado just plague his mind and plague his judgment. He's completely in control, and he's shown great proficiency and mastery over the Satsui no Hado, preventing his mind from being corrupted or going insane. Very impressive. Akuma also has soul resistance. During his fight with Necalli in Street Fighter V, Necalli's sole purpose is to absorb and devour souls. He tried to absorb and devour Akuma's soul, and Akuma just ripped out of this dude and burst out of his body. So he has some soul resistance. And lastly, Akuma is also tank vaporization. So Ki has been shown in Street Fighter to atomize you. Just for example, like when Ryu throws out a Hadouken at Bison, Bison's body starts to atomize and vaporize and just fall apart and go into pieces. So that's a pretty impressive feat for Akuma, and he's also tanked his own chi attacks and chi based struggles and chi explosions. Alright, so moving on to the final stuff. Akuma does have precognition. Akuma can parry and counter-attack his opponent and anticipate attacks, and also he can give himself a layer of armor to absorb attacks. His precog also scales relative, if not higher, than Ryu's. Ryu himself has precognition. He has the mind's eye and the thrust attack to anticipate and parry attacks and get a step ahead against his opponents. On to skill. Akuma is highly skilled in the known arts of Asatsuken, rooted in the indigenous arts of karate and Shorinji Kempo and Judo. He learned how to fight at a young age and was trained by his teacher Gotetsu and trained alongside his own brother Goken. They both have decades of experience and a wide variety of skill, as they have battled many foes and are above a lot of the Street Fighter casts, and Akuma is deemed to be one of the god tiers of the verse. Gotetsu's teachings were so refined that even outside agents came to him to hire Akuma to fight for them. Akuma was also one of the fastest learners to undergo training, and was vastly skilled compared to the other students in the dojo. Akuma has fought against skilled opponents who are very skilled in their respective martial arts, such as Gen, who taught Chun-Li at a very young age, as Gen is skilled in Kung Fu, and the Mantis and Crane form, and the murderous martial art, the Morning Style, and Killing Intent. And this very same Gen was able to spar against Ryu, and even stated to Ryu that if they was to fight for real, it would end very differently and very badly for Ryu. This same Ryu has fought and defeated all types of characters who are skilled in their many respected martial arts, such as Sagat, who is very skilled, if not a master, Muay Thai kickboxer, who has won countless awards, trophies and championships, and is undefeated in this sport. Akuma has also faced against Seth, and defeated Seth. This same Seth has been able to absorb and copy combat data that is equivalent to hundreds of fighters. Seth absorbs their combat skill and data and techniques and mimics them with great proficiency, showing he has arguably under 200 forms of styles of martial arts under his belt. Akuma is above these characters in terms of skill, technique and power. That's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I enjoyed making this Akuma video. I felt Akuma needed some justice and a bit more scaling. But yes guys, Captain Forest signing out, peace.